We are reading Abayomi, the Brazilian puma. And this story is a true story about an orphan cub. So let's go ahead and I'll get started. Here we go. In the far south in Brazil, a puma cub was born in the early spring month of October 2012. The cub and its mother lived too close to large cities that crowded out the wild pumas. Forests became orange, coffee, or corn plantations. Recently, many of those have become sugar plantations, which were needed to make fuel. Here, the mother puma only walked abroad at night on silent paws. Even farmers who had lived on the land for 40 years had never seen her or her kin. She was invisible. Scientists realized that wild places were disappearing and started working to create corridors, like a hallway from one room to another. The corridors were trails for wild creatures to travel from one wild place to another wild place. Now, though there were a few wild places, few safe places, some pumas had no choice. They must live too close. In Brazil, pumas hunt and eat armadillos, capybaras, or bright-ringed coatis, but sometimes it is hard to hunt. In early November 2012, the mother puma found easy prey, chickens, and the chicken farmer was mad. He decided to set a trap and find out what sort of creature was eating his hens. 2:15 a.m. on November 27th, she was caught in the chicken coop trap. Then everything went wrong. The officials who arrived first couldn't find a veterinarian, the only officials who could use a tranquilizer gun. It was hard to wait and wait, so a fireman and the chicken farmer tried to force the mother puma into a cage, and she fought back. Once she hit her head hard against the side of the cage and was dazed. After hours of struggling, she died. Where were her cubs? How could they survive without their mother? Wildlife officials followed the mother puma's footprints. They searched the sugarcane fields. Find them, and they were invisible. How tiny growls, alone and invisible. On December 19th, 23 days later, at a farm a mile away from the chicken coop, dogs cornered the cub. He was scrawny and dehydrated, straggling around in a pasture next to a wooded area. This time, wildlife officials finally captured the cub. Later, DNA tests confirmed this cub belonged to the mother puma killed at the chicken coop. He was named Abayomi, which in the Tupi-Guarani native language means happy meeting. It was a happy meeting that scientists had found Abayomi alive. Without his mother, Abayomi must live for a time behind the fence, by a human hand. And while Abayomi learned the ways of the wild, the scientists must be invisible. And if the scientists could stay invisible, there would come a day when Abayomi would return to the wild. There would come a day when Abayomi, like his mother before him, only walked abroad and invisible. I'm going to read you. They're the second heaviest cats in Western Hemisphere behind the jaguar. Traditionally, pumas had the largest geographical range of any land or terrestrial mammal in the Western Hemisphere. They are found from Canada through the United States, Central and South America, all the way to the tip of Chile. However, puma is no longer found in eastern United States, except for the endangered Florida puma. Some estimate there are only 150 to 200 Florida pumas left in the wild, up from just 20 in the 1970s. In the western United States, the population remains small but stable. It is important to maintain puma's population in the region of Brazil because pumas helps to keep under control the capybara's population, which carry ticks and can transmit Brazilian tick fever. And then Abayomi was born October in 2012 near Campinas, Sao Paulo, Brazil, and it was captured on December 19th. And then he was released in late 2014 or 15. And so this was in Brazil. Pumas live all around South America, and their habitat is endangered a little bit by people, just like in the United States, how what we might call the mountain lion, the habitat there is becoming smaller because so many people. Bye.